Did you come with open hearts? It means you came to receive. Oh my. That means change will happen. While coming here today, I was talking with Sherry. There was such a calmness and a peacefulness. And we've come through a time of a lot of persecution. I don't know anybody here that's not been persecuted for the last, I want to say, at least a couple months. And it seems like right now it seems like there's a quietness. As soon as I walked through the door, the Lord said, that's the eye of the storm. And as I come in, He's starting addressing things through worship, and He's pointing things out. He's showing me things that have happened because of people not doing what they're supposed to be doing, the ramifications of things. Don't worry, I'm not going to point people out and say what they What He wants to get across is the very fact that most of the tribulations that happen, not most of them, a good number of the tribulations that happen in our own lives were attributed to ourselves. And when He showed me that, and His stern warning was for this time where it's the calm, not to be lackadaisical about it, because it's nice and peaceful and quiet. I can sit down and relax. Thank you, Abba. I can sit down and relax and watch. Yet, what will I be watching? When an enemy comes behind you and sneaks up upon you and then takes your very words that you know you're not really supposed to be speaking, and acts upon them because you've given them legal right. You know, the Lord had showed me, and I don't want to be the one to do it. I'll be obedient. Backbiting was one of the words. Come on, folks. We need to understand the seriousness of the times. When I heard that word, I mean, the next level is we just don't want to go there. You know, Sherry was praying unity, and Abba was impressing upon me, we need to get that. I walked in here, and he says, everybody needs to get a hold of the Father's heart. And then he started showing me why people don't have the picture of the Father's heart. That's because the way they grew up, and they're living the way they grew up. You know, not a lot of people have a perfect image of a father. Some do, and praise God for that. As for myself, and I can speak for others who grew up without a father figure, and you can't go back and look at that and use that as your model. You cannot. You know, that's absolutely so skewed that it's going to take you down. So he started showing me that what we usually do is we follow the pattern of the old. And he was talking about, and worship for the next 3 weeks. We need to get into worship like we never got into it before. Because she was talking about, you know, when she was introducing me, the intimacy that he had with you, we want. And boy, did the Lord, he just put it out there. He says, if you want it, you need to change. There's things that need to change. In my life also, I'm not exempt. We all need to change. Change is the word for the millennium. Yet in these next 3 weeks, we need to get in the Word like we've never got into the Word. We need to get revelation like we've never got before. We need to get intimate with Abba like we've never been before. I mean, there's such an urgency for that. You know, I came in here just with the calmness, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be good. Until he unloaded all that on me and saying, don't get comfortable. You can't get comfortable because of what's coming down the pike, you know. One of the events is the celebration. for Mom. Oh, would the enemy like to have that one shut down? Don't be part of it. Do not be part of it. Hallelujah. The Father's heart. We need to get that image, what a Father's heart is. You know, when Yeshua said, you know, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. Yet where did we see him as the Father? He said, everything I do according to what he says and shows me. So he speaks the word. He hears. Now understand, you have 2 ears, 2 eyes, and 1 mouth. Wisdom. You read it in Proverbs. You go all through Proverbs, and we'll talk about this. You have 2 eyes and 2 ears. The 2 eyes is to observe, to see, to perceive. And you have 2 ears, to hear and to grasp the understanding. Now, there's something that you had prayed that the Lord just opened up to me. Is when you had prayed and said that they have eyes to see and ears to hear, and then you went and said, may they have ears to see and eyes to hear. What he was showing me is when you look at somebody's eye, you know, the pupil of the eye, there's darkness. It's all dark in there. And if you look really close, what do you see? You can see yourself about this big. You're small in the other person's eyes when you look into it. Yet, if you can look beyond that and look into the eye, because what does the eye do? The light comes into the eye, creates images, and then reveals it to the brain. And then the heart will process it. You know, the brain processes, the heart will receive it. We need to take what is coming into our eyes. We need to make sure we're focused on the right things, and we're looking at what we need to be looking at. You know, I have not had a seriousness of what we need to be looking at like I have today, and hearing what we need to be hearing. Because one of the things he showed me is if you can't see, you'll automatically use your other senses. If you can't hear, your other senses make up for it. So if your ears aren't hearing, never assume what you're not hearing is something until you perceive it correctly. How do you perceive it correctly? He gave us our word, his word for us to scour it, to search it out, to look into it and say, well, it lines up here, so that's his word. He's revealing it. He always reveals his word. When Yeshua said, if you've seen me, you've seen the Father. What was inside Yeshua that everybody could see? It was the word. Every time he would reveal the word to the people. Just think of, you know, Yeshua walking by when he says to Israel, if you only knew how I wanted to take you and put you under my wings. That's sobering. It's sobering for me. I don't want to hear that. I want to hear, well done, my faithful servant. I just have a real seriousness of the times right now. And we all have a part of it. You know, when I walked in here, he said rank and file. Everybody has their authority. Everybody has their position. And he told me the reason why there's the strife and the bickering is because you don't know your position. Because, illustration only, if Sherry's doing something and I don't know my position, I might say, well, who's she? I'd like to do that. You know? Was she leadership? I can do that. No, I know my position. Sherry knows her position. You need to know your position in order to stop what the enemy's trying to do in your life. Because if you know your position, it doesn't matter what everybody's doing, because they're doing it unto the Lord. You know your position. You know? Why would I want to take somebody else's position? They have a job to do. You go in the workplace, you know, your job is a welder and the other person's an electrician. Well, are you going to do the electrician's job? No, he's hired to do that. Each one of you have been hired of the Lord to do a job. You all have gifts and callings. Y'all. We need to find out what our gift and callings are. Because we need to stop it. We just need to stop it. I'm telling you, I had no intentions of doing this morning. It's what He wants. And that's where I'm at. When He said, if you want that intimacy with me, you need to change some things. One of the things you need to change is what you see and how you see. What you hear and how you hear. Somebody's talking and saying slanderous things. Don't listen to it. Don't let it even enter into your heart. At least you partake of it. You see something, don't even go there. Don't even let it enter in. If it's wrong, it needs to be corrected. Don't get yourself involved in it. Because, thank you, Abba. Because of the repercussions of what has happened here, it's affected other ministries that meet in this building. What people need to realize is the effect it has down the line. In this building, and other ministries, and people that you meet with. If you could only see down the line, the Word of God says, count the cost. Before you make any action in your perception of your seeing and your hearing, count the cost of that. Literally, count the cost of it. Is this going to cost me? My pastor would say, money-wise. Think of it as money-wise. Because think of it like this, your life. Because these are the seriousness of the times. It will cost you your life. And we can't have that. And the other thing that he had shown me is that, we're a military force. We're an elite force. And when we go forth, we all are rank and file in our positions. Now, anybody gets out of their position, they've wandered from the core group. You wandered from the elite. What happens when you remove yourself from the elite or remove yourself from the group? You're an open target. We're not all going to drop everything and run after you and pick you up. There will be those that will be coming up and pick up. There will be the group that goes forth. This is this group here. So let's get together. If you have anything against somebody, get it right. Because it really is not worth it. It is not worth it. It really isn't. My. Lord had started showing me some things yesterday about the sight. And the rabbis talk about the eyes. And that's what they say is you see your reflection in the darkness. Yet most people only will look at the darkness and won't even see the reflection. So they haven't even got that far. See yourself, yet pierce that and look inside. What you want to do is see the heart of the person. When you look into Yeshua's eyes, when they looked into Yeshua's eyes, who did they see? They seen a mobile temple with the glory of God in it. The Shekinah glory shining forth. And everywhere he went, the atmosphere changed. He wouldn't let things in his eye gates or his ear gates, and he's our example. Glory, hallelujah. My. Thank you, Abba. So, seriously, understand the seriousness of these times, Because one of the things the Lord was showing me is the eye gate. What are you letting in your eye gate? Psalm 91, you who live in the shelter of Elyon, who spend your nights in the shadow of Shaddai. That's the Art Scrolls edition. I was reading that, and the Lord started just throwing things at me, because you who spend your nights. And the other translations are a little bit different. This is the one that translation caught me, because the Lord was saying, because he was talking about the night, yet he was talking about, when I was studying it out, he was talking about the eye. He said in Proverbs 17:8, protect me like the pupil of your eye. Hide me in the shadow of your wings. Psalm 17:8, protect me like the pupil of your eye. Hide me in the shadow of your wings. Guard me as the apple of your eye. In the shadow of your wings, hide me. That's the Telahim was saying. And this is the word that it was saying, the comment that was saying. As the apple of your eye refers to the dark part of the eye which controls vision. Because light enters through it, because it appears to be black, it is called darkness. The Holy One, blessed is He, has prepared a wonderful protection for this sensitive pupil, the eyelid, and lashes, which always covers it. Thus David asked to be protected in the same constant fashion. That's Rashi. With our eyes, we have the dust comes in there, you close your eyes. The eyelashes catches it from going in there and it washes it away with the eye itself, the lid. It protects the eye. The same way as He's given us a way to protect our eyes from seeing things we should not see. We need to see it through His eyes, not our eyes. That's where we need to get our perceptions corrected. Glory to God. In another area where he talks about the pupil of the eye, He found His people in a desert country in a howling, wasted wilderness. He protected him and cared for him, guarded him like the pupil of His eye. That's in Deuteronomy. Proverbs 17:1. My son, keep my words, store up my commandments within you. Obey my commandments and live. Guard my teaching like the pupil of your eye. There's a seriousness of the word. One of the things he's mentioning to me is the word time. We need to ante up on the word. We need to spend more time studying the word, getting into the word, getting the revelation of the word than we have before. And not only do we need to get in it, we need to be sharing it with one another to build up each other, to share the insight that I was showing you. Because when you get into the Word, the first thing that happens is you see according to the way He has ordained us to see. There's a way to see, and there's a way not to see. You know, why would He say, I give you a way of life and I give you a way of death? You know, right before you, there's a way of life and death. He tells you, choose life. He tells you how in His Word. He tells you what to choose, how to do it, when to do it. And if you really want to know, He'll tell you why you're doing it, why you need to do it. In one of the songs, He's all sufficient. He's got every area of our life covered. You know? He's got us covered. From front to back, side to side, above and below, inside and out. He's got us covered. And if you don't think so, the Shema that they repeat, it's got what? You got to hear this one. When I found this out, the Shema has 248 words, corresponding to 248 organs in a person's body. Hashem promises that if one recites the Shema properly, He will protect that person's organs. Just think about that. Why would He care about every one of your organs? Because He said He's made you whole. If you're whole, that means everything. Nothing missing, nothing lacking, nothing broken. Whole. You know, one of the common things in Israel they'll say is shalom. We know what that word means. Completeness. You know, nothing missing, nothing lacking, nothing broken. How many people can say, that's my life? Hallelujah. We need to learn some things. The Word is very important in these days. You know, the sword of the Spirit. You know, Sherry prayed today, you know, that we have our armor on. You know, the sword of the Spirit. You know, we grab the sword and we visualize it. It's a sword. It's able to cut asunder between bone and marrow, good and evil, light and dark. And we see that. It's able to cut. Yet what we don't see is it's not this. It's the word in our heart that proceeds from our mouth. So I know we put the armor of God on. I have the sword of the Spirit. I'll cut you up. We need to get the right thing. I take the sword of the Spirit. Yeah, you take that. I take the sword of the Spirit. I take the word. I implant it in my heart. And I speak forth. And that is a sword of the Spirit. That's what cuts asunder. Why do you think the enemy likes to use your mouth for things that it should not be used for? You ever say something you wish you could take it back and then see the repercussions of that word? That's why he says, plant the word in your heart that you be able to resist the enemy. Say, well, I've been praying. Nothing's happening. I asked 2 questions. How are you praying, and what are you praying? The Word of God says, pray, and it will be accomplished if you're praying His Word, and according to what He has shown you, revealed to you in His Word. So when you speak it forth, it comes to pass. Yeshua says, that a word, Abba says, a word come out of His mouth, it does not drop to the ground. What word is He talking about? His Word. That does not drop to the ground. Yet we have our part. I've hidden your word in my heart that I might not sin against you. David said that. Why did he hide the word in his heart? What's the hiding for? The hiding is to protect it for the time it's going to be used. So what he said, that I may not sin against you. So when the time came, when the temptation was there, he could stand forth and use the word. With Saul, he'd always say, I will not touch the Lord's anointed. He knew that. That was the word of God. He knew that. And he walked it out. Did he miss it? Yes, he did. Yet the neat thing about the word, it always shows you how he missed it, or how the people missed it. Which is the great thing, because we need to learn from that. Because how many people here have missed the mark? And how many people here, when they missed the mark, sat down and said, Abba, show me where I have missed it, so I don't do it again? Go ahead, raise your hand, because you're doing it now. You're going to start doing it now. And even on Wednesday night, that was such an impressing word, was that when you miss it, get it right. And then, where did I miss it? Because if I don't go find out where I missed it, the door is open, and it's going to happen again, and again, and again, and again until you close the door. The thief only comes in when it's made available for him to come in, when he's invited, because he looks for those things. So shut the door. We need to shut the door on a lot of things. So keep the words, keep them hidden in your heart, and be ready in and out of season. Because right now, it may be calm, and it may be very peaceful and relaxing, and it's like there's no storm. Yet if you've ever seen the eye of the storm, and then what happens after, you don't want to be there unprepared. Tape your windows up. Board up your windows, board up the doors. Hide it in your heart, for when that time comes, you're ready. You're ready. Because it's your lifeline. It actually is your lifeline. Because you have nothing to latch onto except for the Word. If you want life, that is. If you want something else, that's not life. You can latch onto anything you want. I tell you right now, it's not worth it. Because you can go around and look at people outside who are hurting because they chose the wrong way. We're supposed to be examples to the people, and we can't even do what we're supposed to be doing. So how are you going to set the example? Do as I say, not as I do. You know? These little children here. I sit here and I do all these things I'm not supposed to, and I tell the children, says, don't do that. Well, you did it. You set the example. How do they learn? They learn from us. You know? And we being his children, where do we learn? We learn from our mentors. We learn from those who are before us. You know, like pastors say, Kenneth and Gloria Copeland. You know, that's the mainstay for them. And everybody may have Gloria and Kenneth in there as forefather and the forefront for them. And you may have other people who follow hard after God. Those are examples before you. And then you follow what the Word says. And you look at the men and women that were in these times and what they did and the things that happened in their lives, the good and the bad, and how they came out. For those who changed their ways. You know, David's a good example of a lot of things, what to do and what not to do. I mean, he committed murder, adultery and murder. Yet he's a man that God said, he's a man after my own heart. You sit there and say, well, murder and adultery, a man after your own heart? It's not because of that. It's what he did when he found out he missed it. It was his heart. What did he do when he found out that he missed it? He dropped to the ground, repented. Everything within him got it right. There were repercussions. Yet he moved on with Abba. And what did he do? He lived out what was in front of him. Perfect example for us is Yeshua. Just imagine being Yeshua, walking around, and all you can see is everything you've learned since you were a youth. You see it in front of you, and you're walking it out. That's this scripture. When he sat in the temple and he opened up the scroll and he read Isaiah, he knew that scripture, and he walked it out. He lived it out. That's what we need to do. We need to start living out what's within us, and that's the Word. The Word has to be such a tightness with the Word that nothing can separate you from it. You know, nothing will separate you from it. You know, the Word says nothing will separate you from the love of God. Where are you going to find His love? It's expressed right here in His Word. So you're willing to count the cost for that relationship? That intimacy with Abba? So everybody wants the intimacy. Are they willing to pay the price? Is the question. Do you know what the price is? Basically the same price that you paid when you gave up your life to follow Yeshua. Except the only thing that's different is you should already had that in place and not going back and putting it in place. When you give your life up, you give everything up. You know, Corinthians says, you know, I'm a new creature in Christ. All things have become new. What has become new in my life? Oh, maybe the clothes I'm wearing. No. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking about the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you think, the way you move and have your being. Every aspect of your life has changed. Now look at the gamut of your life and ask yourself, what area has not changed? And what area has? And you need to identify those areas, because those are the areas that he wants to work in your life. So he can show you where, in fact, that you need to work on and where, in fact, that you can maintain. Because there's areas in your life that you're probably not even aware of that you need drastic change. Drastic change. I'm probably naming a few of them off as I'm speaking, because the Word is probably one of them. How many people are in the Word like they want to be? I could say Selah and shut the book and walk out right there. That's the eye-opener. What we want, how much do we want it? Do we want it enough to make the changes in our life to go after it? I want to serve God with everything that's within me. Well, what are you doing? Well, I'm watching soap operas and this and that. Well, that's not serving Him with your whole being. That part of your life's watching soap operas. What about the rest of it? Cut it off. See, if you want to serve God with everything within you, that's everything. Go to work. All right. I'm a glove. Put me on. Just uses you. Go to work. Change the atmosphere. Change people's thinking. Change the way they act. People shouldn't be coming up to you and then blah, 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 saying these words that are just like, whoa, 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 whoa. They should come upon you and say, whoa, there's something different about you. Smith Wigglesworth goes into one of the trains and starts praying. A couple of pastors scoot in there with him and start praying. Tim's paraphrase. And go in there, and one crawls out on his hands and knees saying, too much God, too much God. I don't know about you. I've not met anybody that I can say too much God. Trust me, I want to see that, and I will. I'll be hearing it on the other end. Are we so full of the Word that when we go into a room like Smith Wigglesworth, that people crawl out of it because it's just too much God? Or people come up to you and say things that I will not repeat. And you go along with it, and you feed into it. And then you wonder why you're at work and things are going the way they shouldn't be going. And he's like, this isn't right. What did you feed into? What did you say that attached yourself to it? I'm cutting it off. I'm cutting it off. I'm cutting it off. Now, if we're engrafted into the vine, and I'm not saying if, I am grafted into the vine, I don't see the branches finding any other source than that, the root for that. So for us, what are we attached to? What's our life source? It should be the Word. It better be the Word, because I'm telling you right now, if the Word is not foremost and first authority in your life, and Pastor said this before, you're a sitting duck. Because if you don't know the Word, you can go anywhere you want and you're not going to be effective. Yes, the Lord can use you. Yeah, He wants to use you full of the Word. So all He has to do is just come in and move. Smith Wigglesworth said that I only pray 5 minutes. And then he stops for 5 minutes and then prays. So his life was a continual prayer. And we know what prayer is. What is prayer? Let's get the perception correct. Prayer is not, I just go in a closet and I say these words, I pray. No. Declaring and decreeing, setting things in motion, changing things. You go in your closet, you take authority over things. You set things in motions. You take authority over your workplace. You take authority over your neighborhood. You take authority over this area. We have legal jurisdiction because we own this building. So each one of you have a legal authority over this area here. That's why we need to get away from the backbiting, because that undermines the authority that's in this building. Everybody has an authority. Know your authority. Know your calling. Know your gifting. Know who you are. Do you know who you are? If I went around, who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Could you answer it? Who you are? I'm an electrician. That's not who you are. That's who you are at the workplace. Who are you? I'm a mother, I'm a father. Yes, that's not who you really are. Who are you? I'm a son or daughter of the Most High, standing in authority that makes the enemy tremble. Speak words and change atmospheres. Speak words, change areas. Speak words, and lives change. Donna would say, who am I? I'm the one the enemy's afraid of. And you know it. And we say, well, how come I'm not getting results in my life? Well, how tenacious are you for those results? You know, well, I prayed last week for about an hour, if that. And I didn't get no results. If your very life depended on it, what would you do? Would you pray for just an hour? 5 minutes, 10 minutes? You would not stop. You would not stop. If you were fighting for your life, you would not stop. You would not give up. You would take no prisoners. So what's with us? Why don't we step over in our prospective places? If I roll over on your place a little bit, big deal. I know where it is. I move right back over. I'm not here to take somebody's position. Trust me, I have enough. Ooh. And be careful what you are looking after, too. If you're looking after somebody's position, you better make sure that God told you about any position. You just don't go after any position. He appoints the positions. He's the one who anoints and appoints and places people in places. And if you know you're supposed to be there, and you're not, then you need to ask why. Not me. You need to ask the Lord why. Where did you miss it? Because if you know you're supposed to be there, then you've missed it. Where? I need to know. Somebody show me. In my reading, the Lord reveals it to me, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I need to make some adjustments. So I need to watch what I say. It really, really does have an effect on my life. I really need to watch what I do because it affects other people. If you want that intimacy, you have to change things. You have to. There's no... It's not a little thing where you can try some of this and you can have it. No, if you want it, you got to contend for it. You got to contend for it. There'll be times in worship here where you got to fight to get in the presence of God. I mean, you got to fight with every fiber of your being to get into His presence. And then there's times you just walk right in and you're there. Yet if you walk in here and you don't feel the presence or sense the presence like you do when you just walk in and He's there, what do you do? No, He's not here. I'll go home. No. You knock on that door and says, I'm not leaving. You're no respecter of persons. You're a respecter of faith. And I know you'll show up. I know you're here. Because I have a heart to worship you. I have a heart that just loves you. And when I worship you, there's a sweet fragrance that just gets your attention. Which says, there's my son, there's my daughter. And I'm here. What can I do for you? He wants to be with you. He wants to spend time with you. He wants to be intimate with you. So where's the holdup? Okay, everybody say, it's me. We need to straighten some things out there. We get so intimate with Abba that people don't need to know who we are. They will know. They will absolutely know who we are. And trust me, there's people in this area that know who we are. There are. And then people are influenced by things that are not of God. Yet we have the victory. Like that first song we sang, That's such a... It's got that heartbeat of victory in it. Because we are victorious. We are overcomers. Is it because of our own might? Oh, no. It's because of the Word. You can only be victorious through the Word, you know. If I'm in Him and He's in me, and I live and have my being in Him, so every area of my life is influenced by Him, what do you think the outcome will be? You think I would say bad things about people? No. I would be looking at people and seeing the good in them, because that's what Abba sees. He doesn't look at Jonathan and say, Jonathan, I see all the bad things in your life. He wouldn't do that. Why? He would say, Jonathan, there's an area in your life that just pleases me, and it's a sweet fragrance to me. And I want to use that. I want to use that gift. And that just melts you, and you just want to... He's not there to, say, oh, my goodness, look at that. No, He wants you to get it right, though, because every time you get intimate with Him, He'll start revealing things in your life, because it shows up. Light reveals darkness. If I walk in a bright room with a white shirt that's got a big black mark on it, guarantee you I will notice that. Guarantee. Or if I go into a room and I have a white shirt and it's even got a tea stain, it'll be noticed. Yet if I go into a room where the lighting is not as bright, you probably won't notice it. So I ask you, how intense is the illumination of God in your life? There's a prayer and it says, may the eyes that understand be illuminated. Your eyes of understanding. Proverbs is full of that. It talks about understanding, wisdom. And if you read Proverbs, what it says is the reverential awe, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of understanding. It's the beginning of wisdom. I think we need to get an understanding of reverential awe. When the Almighty God shows up, His presence, which is so powerful, and we just walk into His presence and just get engulfed by His love. That reverend, you just sit there and go, I could be destroyed if I was not in the right place. Because He loves us. If He didn't, He would not tell us these things. He would not show us things. He would not warn us. I will show you things to come. Why does He want to show you things to come? So you can be prepared for them. If you're involved in slander, backbiting, bitterness, and all of these things, if you're involved in it, that consumes you. He'll be telling you, you need to do this. Get prepared, do this, get prepared, do this. Yet you won't even be able to hear Him. It'll be so distant and vague, you won't even be able to make it out. So you need to get to the point where the Word just screams out. That your very life, no matter what happens, that the enemy try to squeeze you, what comes out? The Word. The very life of God comes out of you. Then He won't squeeze. Then you'll be really afraid of what comes out. Pressure is a good indicator of what's inside of a person. Because pressure, that either makes or breaks a person. Because if you're under pressure, great pressure, the thing that comes out of you is the very thing that's inside you. And if you're illustration only watching soap operas and the pressure's on, you're going to speak like the soap operas. Because that's where your wisdom's going to come from. You're hanging around with the wrong people, and the pressure comes on you, you're going to be speaking like them. There's no victory in that. There's victory in His Word. He sent His Word to heal you. To heal you of what? Just like all things become new. He came to heal you of everything. He didn't pay that price just for one or two people. He paid it for everybody. Scott and Sherry, Scott M., Lisa, Jonathan, everybody. He paid it for everybody. He paid the ultimate price so that I may live. Now, what does it mean to live? Breathe. Have a heart pumping. Yeah, that's what it requires to live in this realm. Yet without a body, you got to check out anyways. What sustains a person? It's the Word of God. When the Holy Spirit shows you something, what does He always point to? The Word of God. Always. He does not deviate from it. When you get a revelation, what's the revelation from? The Word. The Word has opened up and has shown you something you've never seen before. It's the Word. Now, if I just go in here and open the Word and I look and I say, okay, therefore then, the suspense is... yeah, okay. There's no life in that. There's nothing in that. So you're reading there and you're like, oh, wait a minute. I'm going to write in my Bible. And I write what was revealed to me because it impacted me. It changed something in my life. So I write it down because if the thought ever came back of what He had revealed to me that I've already taken care of and am set free of it, I can stand here and resist it. Because it's already gone. Now I have something to resist it. But what does He say? Draw near to me, and I will draw near to you. Then resist the devil, and he will flee. You have to have something to stand on. The pastor put the Word down. I stand on the Word. I think that's what we all need to do. Put our Bibles down and stand on it. Get it in our senses. Get it in our senses. These are the days where people who will walk out the things of God are going to be so intimate with Abba and so intimate with His Word that they'll be able to discern what is not of God and that is God. If you ever hear Pastor talking about how does the FBI, the CIA, how do they detect counterfeit? They get immersed in the real thing. So if you get immersed in the Word, you will know any falsehoods that come around. Before they even come around, you'll spot them, you'll smell them. You'll just know. It's like you work at a bank, you probably just know before it even touches your hand a fake one. Because you're just so trained to the way it looks, the texture. You know. We need that with the Word. We need to be so tight with the Word that whatever comes around, whatever that's spoken. The Word says, my sheep hear my voice, and a stranger's voice they hear not. What's a strange voice? Anything that's contrary to this is a strange voice. He only speaks His Word, and He speaks it to His sheep. And who is the sheep? We're of the fold. He says, I have another fold of. And we're engrafted into that. We need to know the Master's voice. When He says do, we do. We should have it in our heart that even before He says do, that I'm going to do it anyways. Then I'll be able to hear correctly. Donna would say, Pastor Donna would say, hear and obey. Yet if you really look at it, it's obey and hear. Literally, that's what it means. It means obey and then you will hear. It's one word. Obedience is a key and vital point at this time. We can't afford to get off track. A good soldier doesn't get entangled in civilian affairs. How many good soldiers do we have here? Oh, come on now, that was real slow. Good soldiers. We don't get entangled in civilian affairs. Yeah, reporting for duty, yes. We don't get entangled in civilian affairs. What are the civilian affairs? For us as soldiers, what are the civilian affairs? Everything he has not told you to do. If he didn't say do it, don't do it. Well, I think I'm going to go do this. Well, what did he say? Well, I can do that. You sure can. Did you count the price of that? Did he say to do it? No. Well, then you need to consult, your Lord. The one you said is the Lord over my life. I give every area of my life over to him. And yet I'm going to be rebellion in this one area and think that he's going to bless me in that area? No. If you want to be that intimate in every area of your life, you need to press into that word like you've never pressed into it before. I mean, it's food. Instead of eating, I'll eat this. Then I'll feed myself on physical food. I have food you know not of. We need to sustain ourselves physically, yet there is a sustaining that takes care of everything. I don't know how many people here have been to Branson, and what's the lady's name? No, the one that goes down there. No, the bigger lady. She's in her 90s. She was Mama Jenkins. Now, if you ever hear her talk, you want to talk about the word sustaining you. A woman gets 2 hours of sleep. She's 90, I think 90-something years old. Been like that ever since. 2 hours of sleep. I look at that and I'm, Lord, I got a lot to learn. 2 hours of sleep. And I'm listening to this lady, and she was talking one night and she went for quite a while. And I'm like, wow. And you watch everybody's like, yeah, she's like going and going and going and going. I mean, she's got some wild stories. I mean, she went under the wings of Smith Wigglesworth. She's seen things. 2 hours sleep. They'll tell me the word don't sustain you. I'm just like, praise God. I don't get enough sleep. I don't say, oh, I'm tired. I know better than that. I say, no, he sustains me because of his word. Now that woman, 2 hours sleep. I'm impressed. She knows something. What does she know? This is life. Under normal circumstances, 2 hours of sleep a night is not cutting it. So this woman been doing all her life? That says something. She's a woman that prayed for the horse that was blind. And the horse took off after it could see, because it never seen before, and then it took off. And people say God don't care about animals. That's not true. He cares about everything. Yet she was bold enough to step out and exercise authority over the horse's blindness. 2 hours sleep. In the middle of the night, the Lord gets her up. Get on a train. Go to this place. She gets up, gets money, goes out, gets on a train, and goes there. At that point. Not 4 hours later, not 2 days later, right then. He said, go now and do it. And she did. And she's got some real wild stories with God. Just wild. It's like, where's the power of God today in the church? Why is not the people walking into the things that they were walking in back then? Is it because everybody's me-focused instead of what he's focused on? Mama Jenkins just gets up and goes out because she knows that he's going to touch somebody's life. She don't care where it is, how much it costs, or who it is. She knows that wherever she's going, somebody's life is going to get impacted. and they're going to change. Whether physically or spiritually. She'd go in there and yank people out of bars and pray for them right on the street. I was like, where's the commitment to the things of God? The zeal. There's people with zeal. Where's the fire to say, I know this is what God has for me to do, and I'm going to do it. And I don't care what happens. I don't care what people say. I don't care what people do, because it has no bearing on what I'm doing for Him. Oh, you see what such and such is doing? Well, they're doing this. So what? I don't hear that. It's a strange voice. I only hear what He tells me to do. I need you to go do this. During worship, bow down. I don't have a problem with that. Fully obedient. Do it. My heart's open to whatever He wants to do. Get down there and bow down and just worship and open my eyes, and I see, who was it? It was Israel looking at me. What impact does that have on him? What does he see when he sees that? What does all the other children see when they see adults, their heart wide open for God and just worshiping out of the pureness of their heart without hindrance? What does that do for the children? That impacts them. These children can tell the real thing from the fake thing. They're probably more sensitive than most of us are. I remember I'm going to share the story again. You probably heard it before. When I went to IFC, they had the children's ministry. And they actually took a chair, it was a chair, and they put it on a stage, and the children they'd say, if you want to sit in Jesus' lap and spend time with Him, sit in a chair. And they would go and do it, and they would sit there, and all the children that sat there, tears would come out of their eyes. And they'd grab the other children and go up there and back and forth, and they all jump on it and sharing. And you just watch the intensity of the love that Abba has for the children when they sat in that chair. I sat there and I was like, I want some of that. Yet it's what the two had said afterwards. They were still in the chair, and the team, the husband and wife team, stood up and said, how many of you are going to be the ones that take these children into worship and into the presence of God? That cut. That really cut. And I was like, wow. I was running up there. One person beat me, And he has an excellent heart for children. And it was that very words that I'm very aware of the children. It's like, what impact are we having on children? We need to be more aware of that impact. Jesus, He says, woe to them that hinder these children from coming to Him. I'm not one of those people that are going to hinder the children to come to Him. Yeshua wants the children. He likes to fellowship with them. Come on, grab them by the hand, let's go. Let's go. I ask, how many people here are willing to do that? Yeah. And then we talk about God's children. How about other people here? Are we going to worship with the pureness of our heart and watch the impact on other people? It's not about me. It's not about Scott. It's not about Sherry. It's not about Jonathan. It's about Abba and what He wants to do here. He put in front of us Pastor and Donna. I've not met anybody like them. To be all honest with you, I've been places. And I have not met people like Pastor Donna and Pastor Don. They're very unique, very different. Do they get criticized for it? Yes, they do. You think they care? No, they don't. You want to know why? Because it doesn't matter. It has no bearings on what God told them to do. None whatsoever. Why would it have it with us? They know their position. They know their authority. Oh, they walk in their authority and position with utmost excellence. I've not seen such excellence in those offices. To be much commended to the two of them. Absolutely. Why? Why such the dedication? All of you are part of it. What they do is mostly for all of you here. If we could only get that into our senses, to know how much they care for each one of us, not just one or two or three, or because a couple people spend some time in the office more than others. No, they care for every one of us. Every one of us. If they didn't, you would not be here. With that, such love and intensity for you, and we just come in and we just sit there and just like, wow, I've never heard anybody talk like that before. I've never heard anybody counsel like that before. I've not heard, where are they getting it from? They're getting it from the Word. You know, the Bible says, study to show yourself approved. To who? You know, one of the greatest things when you read in the Art Scrolls editions to most of the Proverbs and the Psalms and the other books, the greatest thing is to be a Torah scholar, a disciple of the Word, you know, underneath a rabbi and studying the Word. That's considered a great honor. And if you ask Abba, that's a high calling of worship. And you can worship, yet you can't really worship without the Word. Because the Word is what opens you up to the real intimacy of what worship is. It's the Word that reveals the inner chambers of the Father's heart. This is who I am. You look at the Israelites when they went through the desert. Every time He showed up as somebody different. You know, I'm your provider. I'm your healer. You know, always revealed a different facet of His heart to them. They still rebelled. Yet He continually opened His heart and opened it and opened it and opened it and opened it and said, I love you, 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 and kept saying, I love you, unconditionally love you. No matter what you say or do, I love you. And they said and they did. He still loved them. And praise God He did, because one time He thought about wiping them out. Yet, He repented. You look at His heart for His people, His heart for you. Why do you think we have such a love for Israel? Why? Why do you think we have such a heartfelt love for the people of Israel? Hello. Where did the word come from? Where did the revealing come from? Where's the root? That's why we appreciate them. That's why we pray for them. We support them financially, physically, going down there and doing things. Verbally, we support them. Pray for them. It's all part of His heart. You want to be intimate? Let Him reveal some of His heart to you. More and more of that heart that He has. Peel away at it. And as He peels away and reveals it to you, you have a choice. You can peel away yourself and reveal more to Him of who you are. or you can just say, oh, that's good enough. And you won't get no more until you open up again. It's a two-way street. There's no one-way streets. He loves you unconditionally no matter what. Yet if you want a relationship with him, you got to love him. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, every fiber of your being. Well, how can I love him with every fiber of my being? He'll show you. While I'm cooking, he'll show you. While I'm working, he'll show you. While I'm sleeping, he'll show you. He uses you in the night seasons, if you let him. Yes, he does. He likes to reveal himself when you're most vulnerable. That's when it's really precious. Knowing you're at a spot that you won't say nothing to nobody because you don't know how they'll treat you or what they'll say to you or what to expect from them. Yet at that moment, he can open that up and take it and change you completely. Because once you open your heart to him, it doesn't matter what people say or do. It's like a good friend. And you find an intimate friend, the same thing. You can say things to each other. It doesn't matter. It has no bearing. If, illustration only, somebody said, well, Scott's this, that, and that. And I was like, no, that's not Scott. I know Scott. That's not him. Because I know him makes a difference. I can tell people who he is. Yet there's things about him I can't tell you because I've already went intimate with him. That's something you have to do if you want to get intimate with him. It's the same thing with Abba. I can tell you things that are very intimate with him. That's between me and him. If you want that intimacy, you got to get that between the two of you. And he'll get you there. If you're willing to go there, he'll bring you there. How intimate do you want to be with Abba? Is it worth giving everything up? Does your job matter? Does your house matter? Does anything matter that would hold you back from that intimacy? We say no. Until it happens. Like the rich man, Yeshua approached him and says, you've done all these things since your youth. Everything that the Torah says to do. Except for this one thing. Sell everything you have and give it to the poor. And he wanted to follow Yeshua. And he said, basically no by his actions. So the wealth had him. And not that wealth is bad, because he had wealth because he did everything that the Torah told him to do. Yet the wealth had him. So with the intimacy that he would have had with Yeshua, he would have been able to discern that. He would have gave up his wealth, yet he would have gained greater riches. Does material things matter to us? How important is material things to us? Would we put them over in front of our relationship with Abba? Or would we put Abba first before the material things? What matters? What would you give up? What are you willing to give up? Everything. Well, then start learning how to do it. He's never yard by yard. That makes it hard. Little by little. He's compassionate. He loves you so much that he wouldn't want to harm you. That's why he shows you the little details about your life, the wondrous things that pleases him. And he shows up and goes like that, opens up his heart, and the glory just shines forth, and you sit there, oh, look at that. Go out there and grab it and throw it out. All these things that be exposed. These are the things that hold you back from the intimacy. Because those are the things you'll latch onto instead of latching into the intimacy with Abba. Can you take your coat, throw it down? It doesn't mean anything. Take your shoes off. Shoes don't mean nothing. This car, material thing, doesn't mean anything. And more important than all of that is a relationship with the Lord. He's the one who's given you the ability to produce well. You think He can't bring all this stuff around? We know He does because we see it in our lives. We're tithers, we're offering givers. We're generous in our giving. And what happens? You reap what you sow. Why do you think finances are flowing in your life? So if you want intimacy with Abba, start sowing intimacy. You want friendship with Abba, start sowing friendship. You want closeness with Abba, start sowing closeness. You want openness with Abba, start planting openness. See what kind of harvest you come up with. I tell you, get ready, because it's going to be a big one. Overflowing. May even overwhelm you. It'd be a good thing, though. The Word. We need to get so much of the Word. I can't emphasize enough of that. Reflect on. Remember, let's watch what go in the eye gates and the ear gates. Let's make sure we see the way we should be seeing, hearing the way we should be hearing, and then we will correctly speak the way we should be speaking. So much of the Word that it just flows out of you. Or you open your mouth and all that comes out is the Word, the Word, the Word. Yes, it'll turn some people off. It's because they're not in a position to receive. It didn't matter if you had the Word or not. They're rebellious. You put the Word out because it's seed. It's seed. You know, one plants, one waters. God gives the increase. So let's get into the Word like we never got into before. Let's stay away from the backbiting, the bitterness between people, saying things we shouldn't be saying about other people. Let's, as the army of God, the elite unit that we are, let's hook up, arm to arm. And a person next to you on your side, behind you, in front of you. You got any differences? Get it right now. Make it right now. Because we're going to need each other. You're going to need me, and I'm going to need you. And we can't do it alone. That's why He chose this Gideon group. They said, well, why don't we have 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 people? He's not interested in 3,000 or 4,000 people. He's interested in a group of people whose heart's right, that they want to chase Him down and follow Him no matter what. You know, not the kind of person when you read in Ecclesiastics, oh, do you know where he's been? Or the Song of Solomon says that. Has anybody seen my lover? Has anybody seen him? He's been around, I can smell. You know, on the doorknob. He's been here. That's not us. We know where He's at. He's with us all the time because we're with Him all the time. Others may come and say, what's that sweet fragrance? It's not the cologne I'm wearing either. It's the sweet fragrance of that intimacy with Abba. It's tangible. I don't know if you've ever been in here and you're able to smell. There's a smell of that intimacy of Abba. There is a tangible smell. We've come in here and you could smell it. It's a smell that you can't describe. It doesn't come in a can. It's not on a scratch and sniff. It's tangible, though, and it's real. So when He says that it's a sweet fragrance unto His nostrils, it has a fragrance. You know? it has a fragrance. So our lives should be emanating that sweet aroma into his nostrils. Where he goes, those are my children. And they're pleasing to me. Because that's what he wants to do. So let's get pumped up with the word. Pumped up, pumped up. And I want everybody to ask everybody. Ask them if they've been wording up. You've been wording up? You ending up on your word? You've been reading? You've been reading more than you usually read. If not, then just say, encourage them to read. Say, encourage them. Go ahead. These are the times we need to press in. These are the times we need to press into the Word. Let's encourage one another with the Word. Let's guard each other. Let's keep an eye out for one another. You're all I got. Well, let's remain together. You know, that's how unity is tight-knit. You know, the enemy can't pull it apart. You know, Gideon's army just did what God said. You know, and they were the ones who were chosen because when they drank from the water, they looked up and they drank. So they could still do what they were doing and still see. We live in this realm doing what we're doing, and yet we can still see. That's why you're the Gideon group. And you should be honored. You know, it's not no bragging right. It comes with a cost. Know that you paid the price. Yet the Master's saying, let's ante up on the Word. Let's go. Let's build yourself up to the point where the only thing that comes out of your mouth is the Word. Hallelujah. Glory to God. My. You look in Proverbs, everywhere in Proverbs, always talks about wisdom. Wisdom is always in the crossroads. Every decision you have to make, wisdom is there waiting to speak forth. Yet it's not going to speak forth if you're not reading it, not taking it in, letting it become who you are, or letting you become who the Word is, where you change and you make the difference. Hallelujah. All right. Praise God. Well, that's where it cuts off. That's where I have a sense to just right there. Glory to God. So I want everybody to encourage one another. Word. Word's very important. Watch what you see. Careful what you hear. And have that pliable heart where correction comes, you act upon it immediately. Next 3 weeks are very crucial. So that's why you need to word. Word levels at least double. You know, worship time, increase. You need to spend that time. That intimacy is valuable. You can't replace that. And then connect with one another. Don't beat each other up. Love one another. Like show everybody you love them. I care for you. If I didn't, I wouldn't tell you. It's not like when you say, I love you, I care for you. Yeah, I can really tell. No, it's not like it's like at work. Everybody says, they all wave and say, see you later, hi, bye, and care about your guy. And it's like, no, you don't. Not after what you just did over there. No, it's just like, we make the difference. So let's, every one of us, build, encourage one another. Don't be afraid to give a hug. That may be the connection that they need. The children, they need hugs too. They need that touch. Everybody needs the Father's touch. Don't be afraid to hug anybody. Release. You hug, release the love of God upon people. Intentionally do it. Just, yeah, nice to meet you. Yeah, that's good, yeah, I love you. No, you grab a hold of the person and release the love. I love you, I really do. And then release the love. Because there's action to the words. If it's outward, there's no manifestation of love. If it's from the heart, you know. You know. You know when somebody comes up to you and they really care about you. You know. You know when they're sincere. You know. And you know when they're insincere. So let's be sincere with one another. We need to be. For the next 3 weeks, this is going to be forever. Yet the next 3 weeks, let's focus on that. That should be our main goal. Words, the Word of God, increased. Worship, increased. Fellowship, need to connect. Even if it's just giving a hug, calling up saying, hey, just thinking of you. Let's connect. Let's draw one another closer to Abba. Let's go out and let's get them. Let's make a difference. Because it's you who are going to make the difference. And it's not one individual, it's all of us. One elite group here. So let's take it to heart that we are. All right, so what are we going to do? First and foremost, word increase. Second, worship. More time with Abba. Third, the fellowship. Because once you fellowship with Abba, it makes it easy to fellowship with others. If they open their arms to you. But yet, absolutely open yours. Open your heart to people. Give them the opportunity to embrace that. Never wait for somebody else. Always be the one that offers. Open your heart up. If they don't receive it, move on. There's somebody else that'll appreciate it. Don't count them out. Always try again. Just because one person has a bad day doesn't mean they're shut out for the rest of their life. Somebody has to get in there. Somebody has to go in there and make a difference. Hallelujah. Glory to God. You're dismissed downstairs. Fellowship.